Welcome to my weekly review. You're looking at a daily chart of the Nasdaq from uh, October 13th, 2023. And I wanted to do this little exercise here just for the fun of it. Just harken back to the old bear market bottom of October 13th, 2022, and how it made this low here. And then as we come out of the bear market, I want you to watch the 50 simple moving average as we go through 2023 and 2024 and see how it reacts when it comes down to that 50 simple moving average. Now, right now we're emerging out of the bear market, still, under the 200, so I wouldn't call that a bull market, below the 200, not at all. But I'd say maybe in May of 2023. We start to emerge into our new bull market as we are above the moving averages here. So this is the first time it comes back to the 50 and slices it after this nice rally here. And then we have our three legs down where it rallies above the 50 and then fails, trades up to it here and then fails and then rallies back through. And so the three leg down, that correction there that occurred in, I don't know, late summer, early fall of 2023, is a pretty typical, correction, the three leg down correction. But right now we have this nice rally here starting 2024, which I know we did well in NVIDIA and Supermicro, but it sputtered and faltered. And when it came down to its 50, what did it do? It sliced it, undercut, and then rallied back through. And, the bull market is back on. um, And I'm going to fast forward here because we have another rally here. I just want to point out that this a little correction here where it sliced the 50. This is an 8% correction. Now here we come to the August, September correction here. This is a 16% correction where it came down to the 50. And what happened when it came down to the 50? It sliced it. This one came all the way down to the 200, then rallied back through. Like I said, that was a 16% correction in late summer, early fall of 2024. And then we have another 8% correction ahead of the election, the presidential election in late 2024. And then after the election, we have this relief rally. But every time it came down to the 50, it sliced it, undercut it, and rallied. So now let's take us to today. Hopefully, Market Surge will take us to today. But if it doesn't, I'll I'll go to a weekly chart. And I just want to point out here, I'll go back to the daily, but on the week, the Nasdaq was down 2.34%, 460 points. So, I like it when the index is strong. I think the tailwinds from the index helps me trade, and the headwinds, like we're seeing here, this is it now. I mentioned earlier, 8% correction, 16% correction, 8% correction. And now from peak to trough, this is a 6% correction from the high of 2024 on December 16th, 2024 to the low on Friday, which was 19,118. Excuse me, 19,018. So yeah, 6% correction, slice the 50. I just showed you how it responds when it slices the 50. It usually stays under there for a little while. Maybe it'll come down to the 200. I don't know. We'll take it one day at a time. But at some point, it's going to rally through the 50, I believe. And so we're getting closer to where we want to be looking to add than where you want to sell, right? You should have already reduced, your exposure by now. And slicing the 50 yesterday with volume, definitely, weakness in the market. You want to know the reasons why as the market wants their rate cut. And the good news on the economy is bad news for the stock market. So when good news, people are working, we got a good jobs report, is bad news for the market only because they want the rate cuts. And, there was an expected four rate cuts. And then when Powell had his hawkish cut on the 18th, there was expected to be like two, and now there's like none, So the market's repricing equities at lower multiples, because they're not going to get those lower interest rates, and everybody wants lower interest rates. I mean, believe me, if you're buying a house, would you rather buy a house at 3% or 7%? And so we're not getting our lower interest rates. They're higher because, just look at the bond yields. I typically don't like to do this, but I'm going to do it for in a hurry. You can see this is just roaring, okay? And this is putting pressure on the equities. Anyway, that's enough of that. Um, that activity, that exercise. Just wanted to point out that the SPY under the 50, the power trend turned off. Why? Because the 21 is now below the 50 there. You can see it. So the power trend's off on the SPY. I want to take a look at the RSP. RSP is the equal weighted S&P, and you can see these Mag 7 stocks or the Batman stocks have been kind of masking the tape here, which has been super weak. And you can see the RSP equal weight without the seven or eight stocks. The 492 stocks are really diving here and showing a lot of weakness in the market. So the stronger stocks, the mega cap tech stocks, are just kind of propping this up. The Dow Jones Industrial Average doing worse than the Nasdaq here and the SPY, well below its 50, 3.5% below the 50, and only 2.5% above this 21. So maybe it's got a date with the 21. And then the IWM, I know people like to prop up the IWM. The IWM is not an index where I think is going to show any strength, because anytime you have strong stocks in the Russell 2000, they get, kicked out, and then they bring in the laggards, and the stronger stocks move on to the SPY or the mid cap, 600 or whatever, the MDY, the mid cap 400, S&P mid cap 400. So that thing's lagging too. So all the indexes look real rough. So probably a lot of your trades are looking pretty rough. Um, yeah, I mean, that's the way it goes. I like to have the tailwinds from the index and buy strength. And this is Broadcom. I'm going to go through some of my Batman stocks here. Still, flagging here, or wedging, if you will, forming that pennant. But a lot of weakness in this is tape. One positive, if you want to point out here for Broadcom, is that it's selling off in, lighter or below average volume. So, but still, a lot of weakness out there. Um, due to the market wanting interest rates, and the data is not supporting that. A strong economy doesn't need interest rate cuts. And, inflation's still stubborn. We're going to get some more inflation data points this week. Also, caution ahead of earnings. Earnings season starting to ramp up, and we are going to see some stocks gapping up and running during earnings season. Those stocks that are under promising, and they're going to over deliver. So look forward to that instead of just trading on interest rates and Fed speak. Apple. This is my second Batman stock, sliced to 50. That's not good. When a leader like Apple is below the 50, no bueno. Once again, you got to wait for earnings. There's analysts opining every week or every day, essentially, on how the iPhone 16 is selling, and we'll just wait for Tim Cook to tell us. Tesla had ramped after the election. You could see this big move November, December, and now it's just stalling. A lot of the leaders are stalling and faltering while, junk stocks are ramping, and that's another indication that I think we have further to go in this correction. I'll get to that a little later. My M stocks in Batman Meta platforms holding up well. You'd say this is definitely an area of strength, showing relative strength. Mark Zuckerberg kissing the ring, he'll do anything to support his stock. So if you're a shareholder, you like that. And I don't mind that at all. That looks pretty darn good to me. Support at the 21. Microsoft dying below the 200 now. Ugh, I can't even look at that. Amazon doing much better than Microsoft or Apple, but still sliced to 21. So that's not good. But like I said, you got to wait for these companies to deliver their quarterly earnings reports. And I still believe that even though the calendar changed and the stocks are weak, it's pretty normal behavior. that the themes are still intact. The artificial intelligence theme is still intact. The data centers, the energy to build out the data centers, those stocks, that theme is still intact. The weight loss drugs are still intact. The theme for the boomers spending their kids' inheritance and traveling all over the world, that theme is still intact. There's a lot of themes here that are still playing out that I think will carry into 2025. We're just having a little bit of a correction now. So the market's going to test your patience. It's asking you, are you patient enough to kind of sit out here and wait for some new data points and wait for the market to heal? And if you don't have that patience, you're probably going to get chopped up and trade, just trying to trade in and out. But if you are trading, trade smaller, trade faster, take your losses quicker because this market is chopping people up. Alphabet is the next A stock. Yeah, doing okay. It's holding above the 21, pull back to the 21 on Friday. Found support. This is a weekly review. I should show the weekly reviews here. This is a 5 weeks, 4 or 5 weeks type pattern. I thought it was five, maybe it's just four. Market surge picks up four. So, 4 weeks tight pattern. Google looks, like I said, pretty darn good. And then NVIDIA, as NVIDIA goes, so goes the market. And this thing has just gone sideways for a long, long time since it was 140 in June of 2024. So it's been more than a half a year where it's just, lollygagging, wallowing around. Now on Friday, closed below its 50. So a lot of weakness in the market. So if you lost money last week, I mean join the club. I got to go back to the Nasdaq. When the Nasdaq is down 2.34%, our growth stocks are going to be down 4, 5, 6% or more. I mean, that's just the way it works, and that's why I said I like to have the tailwinds from the index, and right now we're getting these headwinds during this 6% correction. Will it turn into an 8, 10, 12% correction? I don't know. We just have to play it, one day at a time. All right, I got through my Batman stocks. I got to go through some earnings names. Last week we had earnings. I said earnings season is starting. This week we're going to hear from many more, larger companies like the bank stocks and just yeah, we'll get to that in a little bit, especially at mcstockcharts.com. I'll cover it. But anyway, RPM International, this is the DAP. Um, um, it's a kind of like a construction, yeah, roofing, coating, painting, adhesive type of company, and they reported earnings, pretty good earnings. Pull back to the 200 though, not good. Jefferies, a financial name, they reported last week. I'm just going to go through these quickly because you're just looking for the response, and this is not a good one from Jefferies. It doesn't matter what the company says or what they report, it's how the market responds to the data. Cal-Maine, this is the egg company, definitely in the news recently. The egg prices have been a topic of conversation. Had a nice response to earnings that pulled back to the 21 and closed below it on Friday, like a lot of stocks just showing weakness on Friday. Acuity, another one of these building stocks, had, on the earnings, ramped up to its 50, got rejected there. That looks like a good short if you're into such things. Constellation, I got to tell you, my cousin owns like 4 wineries in California, and he's been saying for a couple of years that, the younger generation just doesn't drink wine. And so he's having trouble unloading his grapes. Got a contract with Gallo, but yeah, Constellation, I think the CEO even said that the wine selling was weak, down 17% on that news. And then Delta Airlines reported, man, nice response, a 9% move on Friday following their report. And that fits into my theme of, the boomers, are spending their kids' inheritance and traveling all over the world. They're taking trips, they're booking cruises and staying in hotels and living their best life. And Delta Airlines CEO said that they're expecting a really robust 2025. And then of course WBA, once it got kicked out of the Dow, now it starts to act better, up 27.5% on Friday following their earnings report. Okay, I'm just going to take a random walk through some periods, stocks showing strength. That's it. I'm not going to talk about their bases or their, I'm just going to show you and probably write these down as we go along here. Some stocks showing relative strength, and I'm going to be going back and forth through different sectors. But GMED, medical product stock, yeah, looked like it was going to move ramp on Friday, but the market got a hold of it, sold off into the close, which is not uncommon, on a Friday to take profits into the close and kind of protect yourself over the weekend. You can see the RS line heading due north, the earnings line heading due north. NBIS is a recent IPO. No, excuse me. What am I talking about? NBIS is a internet content stock showing strength. Okay, pull back to the 21, found strength, closed 8.6% above the 10. So that is obvious strength. VST, I know what I was thinking of. VST, nice cup with handle pattern here. This is one that I actually own. Broke above its downtrend line. Like I said, I wasn't going to do a TA on these, but yeah, broke above its downtrend line the week before. Had a nice week last week. Near that standard buy point, paint by numbers 168. But yeah, up 3% last week. I was going to show you way. That was the IPO that I'm looking for. Computer software medical stock showing strength here above its 10 EMA. That's Waystar. I got to go through these bros, another theme. I believe it's a theme that they're taking market share. The younger generation wants, they're gravitating towards these drinks at Dutch Bros and away from Starbucks. Starbucks has made, quite a few mistakes, and Dutch Bros is capitalizing on it. Up 1.53%, with the Nasdaq was down over 2.3%. So that is definitely showing relative strength. They're going to report earnings. I believe they're going to show four great quarters in 2025. So on February 19th, looking forward to hearing from Dutch Bros. VRT is another data center, cooling play. Once again, broke above this downtrending line the week before. And last week, up 2.5% while the Nasdaq was down. So definitely showing relative strength. You can see this cup-shaped pattern, 3 weeks tight, ramped up, and now consolidating within a base. So VRT, still looks good to me. A couple others here. I got to go to the oil and gas. If I look through the industry group, man, this week the oil and gas stocks, the industry groups are flashing. I mean, they jump out. And AR is one of them. Oil and gas exploration stock. GPOR is another one. Yeah, just broke out of that base here. Still, the market's, it's tough to make a lot of headway when the market is so weak. The indexes are so weak. But this thing was up nearly 2% in a super weak tape last week. So those stocks are showing strength. Range Resources up 6-something%, broke out of this cup with handle pattern. I said I wasn't going to do themes, but oil and gas here is just, it's sticking out like, it's sticking out like crazy. So yeah, I did put a few oil and gas stocks on my ready list. DXPE, another one of these oil and gas equipment stocks. I think that's a pretty good week, up 6% when the indexes are floundering. And they're not going to flounder forever. And so we want to have watch lists of stocks that have pulled back and formed bases. You don't always want to be chasing heat. Anyway, I got to move on from the oil and gas names to the some more stock showing relative strength is GEV. Now, this is one of the top 10 groups, top stock in a top group, up 3.69% last week. Hello. I mean, this thing's just flashing here. Now, it looked like it was going to break out and run last week um, until, the market got a hold of it. We got that, JOLTS number and everything came down. But all it did was pull back to its 10. And then on Friday, wow, that's impressive. Yeah, everything was kind of down on Friday morning. And then buyers into the close. You could see the close. I just talked about how investors take profits into the close on Friday. Well, not in this case. They're buying GEV. So that's one to look at for next week. And yeah, it'll be on my ready list once again. CEG had news. They've had a lot of news recently. They had government contracts, their 3 Mile Island deal. And then on Friday, well, earlier in the week, it was announced they're buying Calpine, but I guess was finalized on Friday. And Calpine deal. Usually, when you buy a company, you kind of, go down a couple percent, but this one was up 25% on Friday. So definitely showing relative strength as it blasted right through that pivot point of 288.75. Yeah, 20% move while the indexes were floundering. Gotta love that relative strength. CRDO is another one showing strength. Credo, you can see on the daily, it's just flagging. On the weekly, you can see it too. But up 2%, while the Nasdaq's can't get out of its own way. And you can see there you go, the gap higher, just kind of flagging here, or a pennant, or a shelf, or whatever you want to call it. It's just holding its gains. That's it. Just, that's actually qualifies probably as a flat base there, but give it another week. We'll see about Credo. Definitely one to have on your ready list here. And I'll have that at mcstockcharts.com with a little more detail and color on that. Deckers, this is one that I like. I don't love. Love's an emotion. I don't love any stock because they can all burn you. But this had the cup with the handle pattern, then ran up and now had 3 weeks tight. So this is definitely holding its gains as the index is correct. Earnings due January 30. You know that if you pay attention to the retail sales data, or the Christmas data, or the Black Friday, the sales data was crazy strong for restaurants and retail apparel, but it's not really reflecting in their stock prices. I think Abercrombie and Fitch, Deckers on Holdings, perhaps Lulu, are going to have good Christmas quarters. So definitely something to pay attention to. Um, Okay, I'm going to go back to the oil and gas stocks. I just can't get away from them. It's like Brokeback Mountain. I can't quit you. Uh, this is YPF, Argentine gas play, and you can see just higher lows, higher highs, just definition of an uptrend. Super strong stock. And while I'm at the Argentina stocks, I got to go to the finance, the bank stocks. SUPV, I mean, just showing incredible strength here. GGAL, another one. Come on, man. These things are up like every week. So something going on there. Good with the Argentina stocks. Okay, I'm going to jump around once again. This is a random walk. This is NTRA, another one that I had on my ready list at MC Stock Chart. Still will have it. It was up 4.5%, but I think, once it gets through this little basing pattern here, it could really ramp higher. 175.63, definitely a area of interest for me. And it's just, this is just a, long little base here after the move higher. That's NTRA, a medical research equipment stock. And I've got to go to the, like I said, the boomers. This was on my ready list last week, 105.09, and nice base there. Pulled back to the 50 for the first time since the breakout here. This is, if you look at the weekly, this is like a high tide flag pattern, just whoop. And like I said, I had this on the red list, but now it's extended up 12% last week. So United Airlines looking pretty darn good. They're going to report on the 21st. So I think the Delta Airlines, the comments from their CEO boosted the entire group, including Alaska. But my theme still stands. I still think that the boomers are spending their money like crazy. They've accumulated a lot of it over their last 50 years, and they're spending like wild banshees, living their best life. This is Alaska. It's extended up 6.5% last week, while the indexes were losing you money. And then, of course, if you don't want to play individual stocks, you can play the exchange traded fund, which I don't like, but it's an option. 26.12 there would be, above that's good. Closed 10 cents above it. Got the little base going here. Short little base. All right. That's the Jets exchange traded fund. If you don't want to play the individual airline names, which I don't blame you. Just a couple other areas that showing strength. This is the service education, consumer education services name. Definitely earnings line heading north, stock heading north. Yeah, it's probably in a later stage base here, but had a nice run, showing strength. CLS, another one of these electrical contract manufacturing names. There's several in this group, but I'm just going to show you this one. Definitely showing strength. Surfing the 21, like Kelly Slater and Bethany Hamilton. Any more names? Oh man, I got to go back to the oil and gas names. Geez. Um, Comstock showing strength. I mean, these things are flashing. I know the price of oil starting, it was below 70 for a long time, and now as 2025 hits now, it's the mid 70s, and Brent hit above 80 on Friday. So, I don't know if you like playing oil and gas, but I like stocks that going higher, and these names are going higher. This is CTRA on the weekly, consolidating in a base. On the daily, looks like it wants to break out. And okay, just a couple more here, then I move on. This is INTA, pull back to the 50 for the first time since the breakout, showing strength on the weekly. Yeah, 5.3% last week. Yeah, that's good strength. AGX is a construction, a stock still consolidating within a base, but it was up 7% last week. Yeah, nice move for that one. I believe they just reported earnings. And anyway, that's it for that group. I just want to show you, this is a concept that I have, that when the leaders start to stall and the junk stocks start to ramp, and I'm not just talking about the quantum, there's penny stocks that are ramping with massive volume, and our leaders are stalling like AppLovin back to the 50, Palantir back to the 50. They've had big moves, and now they're just pulling back, which is normal, natural for a stock to pull back to the 50, especially prior to their earnings reports, which are coming up. Take profits, show caution. You never know what they're going to say at their next earnings report. So that makes sense to me. Twilio, which has been a monster. This one's starting to stall here. It hasn't pulled back to the 50, but nice run, and it's stalling. Astera Labs, big run, now starting to stall, closed at the 21 on Friday. Reddit, another leader, starting to stall, ahead of earnings. So we just gotta wait for earnings season. And so I mentioned, some of the quantum names, they just went parabolic and now they're pulling back. That's IONQ, CEO just had glowing things to say. Rigetti. And this is why I don't play these. They ramp up, but they also pull back, and I don't want to wake up down 25%. I'm sorry. I'm just my job's, not to lose money like that. Hell no. Let's take a look at the weekly. This is a weekly report. Yeah, you're down 50% this week. Screw that. I'm not down for that type of action at all. Um, yeah, this is D-Wave Quantum down 37%. How would you like that? No, thank you. Yeah, they go up hard, they come down hard. Another one, quantum computing down only 49% last week. Anyway, that's it for me. Thank you for watching. At mcstockcharts.com, we never give up. I wanted to point out, I mentioned that the leaders are stalling, the quantum stocks going parabolic without really any justification. But the thing that really, got me was these low price penny stocks moving on massive volume. The Nasdaq had its highest volume day ever last week. Okay, since I'm mentioning it, gosh darn it, Marty, you got to prove it. Yeah, on this day, it was a Wednesday, Tuesday, the Jolts day. Anyway, yeah, it had the highest volume day ever on this day, 133. What day was that? The 7th. Okay, thought it was Tuesday. Highest volume day ever. Why? Well, because stocks like this, just penny stocks. I don't know who's doing this. Some funds getting together and just saying we're going to run this up, then we're going to sell them, right? This is another one, XTIA, massive volume coming in, CMPX. So when you see penny stocks ramping, trading this massive volume, you're seeing leaders stalling. I don't know. I think there's more time for a correction until this behavior, calms down or subsides. This is a CERO. You can see the massive volume coming in. Average daily volume's 31 million. It was doing like, 10 times that. RIME, another one, just doing massive volume here recently. So when penny stocks do this, I think I'm making my point here. Leaders are stalling, penny stocks are just going ballistic with volume. I don't know who's doing it, doesn't really matter, but average volume is 3 million a day, and it did 166 million on the 8th, which was what, Wednesday? Not normal, folks. This is not normal. EONR. Okay, just something that, to pay attention to. I think this is pretty obvious here. Yeah, 83 million shares traded on Wednesday. It averages, less than two. So, yeah, like I say, I think I've proven my point here. A couple more, same thing, just ridiculous. These penny stocks. That one hasn't pulled back yet. We'll see how they get crushed on Monday. And then this is RIME. You can see this one. 672 million shares traded at 13 cents, well above the 63 million. So anyway, that's it for me. I believe, this is definitely a telltale sign. Leader stalling, penny stocks ramping. You had the quantum stocks going parabolic. Signs that, we're in a correction, probably need to correct a little more, although I'm not going to predict, but that would be my expectation. And that's why I did that exercise with you at the beginning. Once the Nasdaq, comes to the 50, it, usually undercuts it like we've seen here, and this 8% correction. Yeah, it stayed below there for a while, but it's going to rally back through. 16% correction to the 21, but it rallied back through. Here's your 8% correction ahead of the election, rallied back through. And then since the election, we've been, had a nice run, but now we have this 6% correction. Will it go lower? Probably. Will it rally back through? Probably. We'll have to stay tuned. Anyway, like I say, we're probably getting closer to where we want to be buying than selling right now. So we just want to, like I said, the market is going to test your patience. Do you have sit out power? Can you pass the test? The test right now is, create a watch list. I'll have it at mcstockcharts.com. Be patient. Do you have the willpower or the discipline to sit out for a little bit and wait for better opportunities? And so, can you pass the test? I don't know. Stay tuned. I'll be back next week with another weekly review. Thank you for watching. At mcstockcharts.com, we never give up.